Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up a parking slot to my neighbor in her late 50s? I live in a boarding house with 4 parking slots. Maybe 5-6 tenants have cars. As far as I know, the rule has always been first come, first serve. I've had to park a few streets away sometimes, no biggie. The 4th slot is not really a parking slot. It's in the gap between 2 slots with a post near the wall, so only small cars can fit. One of the tenants drives a microcar, a little red Wigo, that fits perfectly there. Good for her. She's never had to compete with the rest of us for parking. Anyway, our landlord had his garage repaired, so I came home today to find his giant pickup in one of the parking slots. It's so large that he parked it diagonally, taking up 1.5 slots. So I parked diagonally next to him as well, cutting off the little space in front of the post that's usually occupied by the Wigo. Later that night, the neighboring tenant knocked on my door. She's in her late 50s, lives alone and has no children. So she asks me if the sedan outside is mine. I say yes, and she tells me I have to move it so she can park. She also mentions that she's been driving for over an hour and is exhausted. Me, isn't it first come first serve for parking here? Neighbor, listen, like I told you, I'm very tired. Please just fix how you parked so I can park in my spot. What do you mean fix it? The landlord's pickup is in the way. Neighbor, well, what am I supposed to do? I've always parked there. Don't you just park somewhere else when the other slots are full? Me? Yeah, there's a good spot in the next street by the blue gate. No one ever cares if you park there. I prepared to close door. She puts her hand to keep me from closing the door. I am shook. Neighbor, I can't park there. The pickup took your spot, but that doesn't mean you can take mine. Me? It's not yours. Neighbor, I've always parked there. Well, we go around in circles for a bit longer. You can imagine how it goes. Out of sheer aggravation, I went out to try and adjust how I parked, just to see if I could slide in closer to the pickup and leave enough space for her to squeeze in. No dice. I told her, sorry, it ain't happening. And she got angry and said she would tell the landlord. And I said, go ahead, fam. Now park somewhere else and leave me alone. My friend said my neighbor was wrong in how she approached me, but because she was old and alone, and would feel less safe and have more trouble walking, I should have just given her the spot. My friend said I would have probably done just that if my neighbor hadn't been so aggravating, and that by refusing to move I let my anger get the better of me. So am I the a-hole? Should I just move next time? The landlord's pickup will be there for at least a few more days. Edit. I am also a woman, late 20s. I live with my sister who's out of town. I've shown her the reply so far and she says I didn't have to give up my spot, but I should have been nicer to our neighbor and offered to go with her to speak to our landlord tomorrow. Thanks so much for all the input. Just to clarify, I'm not guessing her age. Good thing because I'm extremely bad at that. I was told. When my sister and I first moved in, we asked if we would have to worry about loud and rowdy tenants, and this neighbor in particular was described as just that, late 50s, single woman, no roommates, always been quiet and neat and a good tenant. I don't think of her as elderly. She also has no disability that I know of. Still, 50, while not elderly, is also not young, so I did worry that I might be the a-hole for not making that aspect as a primary factor in my decision. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your neighbor is a bit entitled, but she's not the a-hole either. Your landlord is the a-hole for parking wrongly and taking up 2 parking spaces with his truck. He's the one you both have a problem with, and he's the one your neighbor should have gone to meet and not you. You could have also handled the situation better, but then again, I'll give you points for trying. You even tried to move your car to see if hers would fit. It sucks that she didn't get to park in her usual spot, but that's honestly not your fault. She should take it up to the landlord. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. First of all, she's rude AF. Second, it ain't her spot. Third, you try to move your car. Hers doesn't fit in the spot that isn't actually hers. All because of the landlord's truck. Fourth, you are both women, so it would have been just as unsafe for you to walk back after parking a couple streets away. Fifth, first come, first served, biatch. She's just awful. Ignore her and oh, what's she gonna do? Tell the landlord? Yeah, I'm betting he really cares about her invalid complaints. Not the a-hole in the slightest. I don't understand this. As a young woman, OP is just as likely, if not more likely, to have trouble walking late at night. 50 isn't old. Hell, my mum's nearing 65, and she's constantly out and about. It's first come, first serve. And the 50-year-old had no right to ask for the space. OP was even accommodating and nice enough to attempt to move the car closer to the landlord's, which could have damaged her car when the landlord moved, and give tips on where there is a good parking spot nearby. If it's a first-come, first-serve system, it's not your spot. Not the a-hole. Just because she's always parked there doesn't make it her spot. If the spots are first-come, first-serve. My own parking lot is like that, and while I usually always get the same spot, I don't begrudge someone if they happen to take it first. You tried to move a bit to make room, but there wasn't any choice. Really, the landlord is the biggest a-hole here for parking like an a-hole when there are limited spots. Also, 50 is not old, unless she has a disability, in which case she should ask the landlord to have a spot designated as such. She is no more or less vulnerable than a woman in her 20s to walk alone at night. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to get over her daughter's achievements? I am one of 5 children, and we all have grown up, late teen children. They're everything from lawyers to accountants to welders to hairdressers, and everyone is happy. My sister Paula's daughter, Amy, is the most successful of the bunch. She's 22 and has recently graduated from one of the best universities in the world with a degree in biochemistry and started a job as soon as she finished her course. I don't dislike Amy, but she has always been trouble. I have a daughter the same age as her, Charlotte. When they were younger, Amy did a great job convincing Charlotte that she would never be as pretty as Amy, and once tried to push her out of a family photo because she wasn't pretty enough. When Amy graduated, Paula held a post-graduation party at her place, and Amy was the center of attention, as she deserved to be. But ever since then, Paula has gone out of her way to make Amy the center of attention everywhere. Over the summer, my brother, his wife, and their 2 kids went to a theme park. Amy wanted to go too, and Paula demanded they take her, for no other reason than that she's just graduated from X. Amy behaved like a brat the entire time, and Paula excused her behavior for the exact same reason. Amy smoked weed at my parents' house a few weeks back. I don't mind this, but they do. But once again, Paula made them let her off due to her elite graduate status. The final straw came last weekend. My son Mark just got engaged and we held an informal engagement party at our place. Paula, her husband Rob, and Amy were there. And Paula set about trying to convince me to let Amy play a big part in the wedding, which is a while away. Mark's fiancée, Vicky, barely knows Amy, and she will of course have her own people in mind for her bridal party. Paula said Amy deserves a big part because of her achievements, and also because she's so pretty she would make the perfect bridesmaid. I was frustrated and told Paula that Amy's achievements do not mean she deserves special treatment, and that being an elite graduate and pretty doesn't make her better than anyone else. I told Paula Amy was a spoiled brat who needs to get on with her life. Unfortunately, the music wasn't very loud and everyone heard. Amy heard and stormed away crying, and the whole family has been texting and calling me, saying I was wrong for humiliating a child in public. Amy isn't a child. and pointing out the truth is not humiliation. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your sister and Amy needed a reality check, and I'm glad you gave it to them. Your sister thought her daughter deserved to be in a bridal party because she's so pretty and she graduated from a good school. I don't know what kind of reasoning that is, and your sister needed to be called out on that one. It sucks that everyone heard you say what you said, but the whole family needs to get off their high horse. They were all probably thinking it. You were just the one brave enough to say something about it. Now for some comments. Going with not the a-hole for a few reasons. A special elite degree doesn't entitle Amy to be a bridesmaid for someone who doesn't even know her, really. Also, most elite grads should be smart enough to know that even though weed is legal in many states, most employers adhere to federal law and still don't permit it. She may lose that special job acting like this. And her grandparents clearly minded. Amy is not a child at 22. Amy's mom sucks and clearly has no accomplishments of her own other than her daughter. Amy's mom has set her up to be an entitled brat. Sometimes a reality check is needed. Everyone sucks here. Amy's obviously done well for herself, but this doesn't warrant her intrusion on your life, be it brought on by her parents or her. That being said, you could have just refused letting her be a bridesmaid without making a huge scene, which hurt Amy's feelings without her even being part of the conversation. In conclusion, I would say that you shouldn't let your sister push Amy into your family's events and parties. But when it comes to her bragging, I would say just let it happen and suck it up, for want of a better word. Not the a-hole. Paula is insecure and living through her daughter, which it sounds like Amy is allowing since it gets a special treatment from the rest of the family. If she's a child in your family's eyes, it's because she's acting like one and being treated like one by her mother. If it wasn't her graduate status, it would be something else. Her looks, her status in something or another, one excuse or another. Also, what 22-year-old runs off crying because they're called a spoiled brat? They all need to stop enabling her behavior. I hope she doesn't act like this at her new job, or else she's not going to have it long. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for taking advantage of being the favorite of my future mother-in-law and not standing up for the other daughter-in-law? I just clicked with my mother-in-law. It's actually amazing because my mom passed away when I was little, and I admit I was happy when she started to get involved in our lives after she warmed up to me. Now we are 3 years in planning a wedding, and my mother-in-law is overjoyed and even proposed to cover most of the wedding expenses. Needless to say, I always felt I lucked out on a mother-in-law. Thing is, my boyfriend is not the only son of my mother-in-law. There is also a younger son who is already married 5 years. And I have to admit, the way mother-in-law treats me and his wife, let's call her Kate, is like day and night. With Kate, she is cold, unwelcoming, sometimes even passive-aggressive. At first I thought it is because Kate is just as cold and mean to mother-in-law, but I got a short version of the story from my boyfriend after some coaxing. Apparently, mother-in-law simply disliked Kate from the very beginning, and as the relationship got closer to marriage, mother-in-law got progressively colder until she outright encouraged the brother to break up with her because he can do better than Kate. That got shut down real quick, so mother-in-law just settled on making it clear to Kate that she disapproves of her by simply ignoring her, excluding her, or acting very coldly, yet polite enough, so bringing it up seems like an overreaction. I actually kept a friendly relationship with Kate from the get-go, and Kate sometimes ranted about the monster-in-law, but otherwise seemed to be happy at least mother-in-law isn't mean to me. But recently, during family dinner, father-in-law's birthday, when Kate was present, mother-in-law said how happy she is that I will finally be an official part of the family, and since we seem to not be able to settle for an engagement ring, we got engaged without it. She would like to give me her grandmother's ring as she finally has a daughter to give it to. After hearing that, Kate stormed out with her husband on her tail. Later, I called Kate, and when she finally picked up, she said that she is done with me and mother-in-law. She screamed a lot, but a short version is that I am just as bad as mother-in-law in treating her like shit because I keep taking whatever mother-in-law gives me and never tells her off for being cruel and a petty woman. I apologized, but she said that if I want to apologize, I need to do it with the ring. I said it's not mine to give. It ended at that. I feel guilty for never speaking out on it, but is it really an a-hole move to not sour a good relationship with my mother-in-law over a bad relationship she has with Kate? Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. Your mother-in-law seems to be using her good relationship with you as a way of getting back at Kate. You therefore cannot separate your mother-in-law's relationship with you from her mistreatment of Kate. The right thing to do is to stand up for Kate. You're right that you cannot give her the ring, but that doesn't mean it's okay to continue the same way as you have been, letting your mother-in-law use you as a weapon in her war against Kate. Do you feel good about this? Is it worth it to you to watch Kate be miserable over something that you are making no effort to stop? I'm going to go here because I'm a piece of shit. But if your own mother were still here, what would she think of this? Would she care that you're not standing up for Kate? If anyone is going to help bridge the relationship between mother-in-law and Kate, it will be you. Be the bigger person and make the effort. Mother-in-law might even respect you more if you can find a solution. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. My mom was the Kate for no reason too. It was clear to me from a young age how my grandma and aunt treat my mother-in-law poorly for absolutely no reason. They would make her cry by bringing up my dad's exes and playing clear favorites. In turn, I have no desire to be close to either of them. If they're willing to be bitches to my kind, amazing mother, they aren't worth getting to know. One of my aunts finally realized she had been poisoned against my mother for no reason after 20 plus years. She finally recognized how kind my mom is after she took care of my cousin. She apologized for never standing up for her. Either stand up for her now and beg for forgiveness or prepare for that entire branch of the family to dislike you.